Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see it.
So hello, everyone. I'm Sasha, and I work as a senior product designer for the managed compliance team. And today I will be talking about some of the changes we did for the beautifying our UI initiative in 15.1. Whenever I refer to we, I mean Rob, my engineering counterpart, and myself, just to let you know. And yeah, so let's get started, shall we? So the first change we did was quite a casual one. I think Jeremy just did a great segue to this presentation because we started off beautifying our UI with removing the word mark from our Tanuki logo. So, like the word mark is now gone within the product, which aligns nicely with like the direction, like the product is heading to. And that was basically the first change we introduced in 15.1 with our changes. Then we moved on to the navigation bar, and we did increase the size, actually like the height of the navigation bar by like 8 pixels. So very, very, very slightly increased, but that helped in overall, like in a bit more modern look and feel, but also like elements can stand out a bit better, especially if they're like, like if an element gets focused in the navbar. So that helped as well. And, like speaking of focus states, we also introduced the focus state to more elements. So overall, we had a lot of different focus states throughout the whole UI. And this effort already started in 15.0, where I started beginning to improve like the focus ring. And now with 15.1, we basically just streamlined a lot of the appearance of the focus ring on different elements. So here you can see like a quick overview of what we did and how like different elements look with the focus ring attached to them. So yeah, just, like trying to like streamline the appearance of the focus for all elements which can have a focus, of course. Then we moved on to the contextual sidebar navigation. That was quite a controversial change, or at least part of was, we did several changes to this part. So the first one was we increased the size, the width of the element a bit. That has due to two things. First of all, being a native German speaking person and also knowing some French, which are both languages which tend to have very, very long wordings, very long words, and like this extra size helps a lot with the naming we have in our product. Secondly, but also important to say, is that this also helped with like the balance of the UI in general. So like balancing the left sidebar with the right sidebar. So they're now like similar in size, which gives like a nice balance in the UI. I talked about that there was a change which lead to a lot of conversation, and it was very constructive. And Tori, I know you also digged into that, and you were saying like, let's not adding new grays, because that was like one of the possibilities was to add like a new shade of gray. But we decided to do something else. So we updated the gray 10 value, like the nuance of the gray in the design system. So basically the old hex color was exchanged with a slightly darker nuance, and that was like updated through like everything we have, like in the product, in GitLab UI, in pajamas, in Figma, like everywhere it's already updated. And then while I digged into the code with the changes of our product, I discovered that we have another variable, which is called gray normal, which now would have the same hex as the updated gray 10. So, I was just thinking, well, that's an easy one. We can refactor that and just remove gray normal, to make the maintenance part of the front end a bit easier. But spoiler alert, this change has bricked dark mode because it appears that gray normal gets exchanged in dark mode to a complete different color, which resulted in the dark mode being like this. But we rolled back that change like in a couple of hours, and yeah, that fixed dark mode again. So I was a bit too too easy on some changes. So I went just, but we also did not catch that issue while reviewing. So, it went into the product, and then shortly after we were able to fix it again. All right, moving on to the next one. So the right sidebar, as you know, there were like a lot of great and awesome changes by Annabelle in 15.0. So I was a bit inspired by all the changes. And I was thinking like one area of the right sidebar, which didn't have a lot of attention, was the collapsed state of the sidebar. So I went ahead and improved it. So, for example, for dates, you can now clearly see the dates without having to hover or expanding the right sidebar. Also, like the labels had different sizes. I, extreme like those experience that like all the labels in the collapsed sidebar have the same, appearance, and everything was just, quite an easy change. Talking about easy changes, I was thinking that this one will be an easy change to implement, but spoiler alert, it wasn't. It took a lot of effort by my engineer, Rob, to implement this. But I think you all experienced that if you type like thumbs, for example, in comments in our product, that you will always get greeted by like the thumbs down, but in, I don't know, like 90% of the time or 95% of the time you want to do a thumbs up. Same applies to other emojis as well, like slight smile, for example. You would always get greeted by the negative one. So we fixed that. Now you get like positive intent first. And Rob even went the extra mile by creating an API. So as an MVC, we just introduced that for thumbs up and slide smile, but he integrated the API that we can basically list more icons to have like this appearance. So, that was like a time constraint. We couldn't like roll it out for every emoji, but at least it's a good start. The user popover, looked like that. And as I myself have in my profile, I have quite a long description. It doesn't seem to go along nicely with like a lot of content in it. So that was also something we fixed. So we fixed, we moved the elements around, made sure that readability and also like everything in the element goes a bit or like better with a lot of content in it. The next thing we did was page titles. And this one actually started with the logo. So the GitLab logo until now was the H1 of every single page in our product, which from an SEO point of view is maybe not the best thing to do. So we quickly removed the H1 from that element. That was like a, like a two-liner that went into the product quite easily. The second part of refactoring all, like the headlines, like all the page titles was a bit of a stretch. So we basically like split that issue into multiple merge requests. So the first one was to discover like all page titles and update them to H1s. And we had some H2s, H3s, and H4s on some pages. Sometimes we had like 3 or 4 H1s, and all without any section element around it. So from a semantic point of view, we had a lot of issues in our product, technically speaking, at least. Also from an accessibility point of view, it might not be the greatest on earth. So we decided to fix that. The second part was, while working on this change, I also discovered that we have a lot of different styles for H1s in place, like for page titles in place. Sometimes we attach like an H2 class. Sometimes we had, I don't know, like different classes, different specific overrides for pages. So we streamlined the whole experience for page titles to be one experience for the whole product. So it everywhere it appears now the same. You know, I have some examples here for merge requests, creating new issues, and so on. So that was something. And the next thing was like file uploads. So the file upload looked like this until now, and it just didn't apply with any other styling we had in the product, especially for, you know, like the active state and the interactive state when you drag and drop something. So we quickly refactored that element to have a bigger space, you know, like a bigger dropping space, but also like to be in line with like the focus updates we did, and that you can basically just a bit better interact with the element. The next thing we worked on was like the new and edit pages we have. And with new and edit pages, I mean, you know, we have like new issue, new merge requests, and so on. So for those pages, we changed the alignment of labels, which tends to be right aligned to fields. And the second part we changed was like removing unnecessary elements like the background of form actions and some dividers at top, just, you know, cleaning up the experience. So we ended up with this, you know, like top aligned labels, and yeah, just getting rid of the whole clutter in the UI. And we applied those changes to new issue, new merge request, compare merge request, new epic, new and added user form, schedule new pipeline. There was like test case, new and added test case, feature flag. I don't remember, like a ton of different sites now all look the same and have like top aligned labels, which go along with the pajamas definition of labels anyway. So that was like one of the bigger changes we also introduced. And then there was this Unbox efforts. You know, I was pretty excited about this part when I started. And we were able to, you know, like update group audit events, which falls into my category of our product. So we removed just, you know, unnecessary elements like, you know, like the gray background and all the borders around it, just to make it a bit more clear appearance. But I also wanted to bring that to, you know, like to related issues, related merge requests and epic widgets, you know, within like issues and merge requests. But there we had so many constructive, you know, discussions of how we want to unbox those, and also like with the widget updates, which are like currently rolling out. I just decided to, you know, like to focus on another part of our UI to beautify. So these merge requests are still in place. They still need some love, and I will continue working on them in the near future. And last but not least, we also worked on the label selection on ad pages. I shared that before. Maybe you can quickly see that. So Rob, my engineer, he worked a lot on this feature to make that a reality. It currently lives behind the feature flag. It's not, it's currently in review, so it's not merged yet. But you can see that for creating an issue, or especially if you have like an issue and then you want to create like a related issue, you know, sometimes it's very hard to see which labels were already in use, and you maybe just want to get rid of one label. So you have to go back and forth to make sure which ones to get rid of, or you even have to create the issue or the merge request, and then you get rid of it in the sidebar. So now with this change, you have a very quick and easy overview. This is an MVC. It's not the perfect solution, but it's already like an improvement over what we have. So some fun facts in the, we opened 66 merge requests. From those, we were able to merge 58. 2 of them got closed because, you know, we wouldn't do that. 6 are still open. So we will work on them like in the near future to make sure to also being able to merge them into the product. And the page title one had over 100 file changes. So that was quite a huge change. But the biggest code change with over 1,300 lines of code was actually like the addition around the label selection. So, you know, there's a lot going on there to make that a reality. Yes. These were just the highlights we did. As I mentioned, like 66 merge requests. As you can imagine, we also fixed a lot of smaller issues and, you know, like tweaked some stuff. So you can just check this issue, which has a nice overview of all the changes we introduced in 15.1. And with that, I want to say thank you to everybody involved, because there was a lot of reviewing involved. My engineer, Rob, was basically like full-time, you know, like doing merge request reviews, while also working on these two big things he did. And that was awesome to see. So yeah, thank you.